Okay, so imagine this, publishing a massive 236,000-word trilogy in literally just 13 days. And the kicker? Doing it without actually being a professional writer. I know, it sounds completely impossible, right? Or at the very least, it sounds like a recipe for unreadable robotic garbage. But what if the game has fundamentally changed?
Welcome to today's Explainer. I am incredibly excited to take you through this fascinating source material. Today, we're looking at a system called Cozy Co-Author, which was developed by Soren Jordanson. It claims to be a simple, two-file system that turns a single idea into Kindle royalties by pairing you up with an AI co-author. So, let's dive right into exactly how this framework attempts to democratize the entire publishing process.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the AI book opportunity. Second, escaping that dreaded AI slop. And finally, we'll walk through a literal step-by-step tutorial for beginners. Step 1, plan. Step 2, write. And step 3, publish. Let's get into it.
All right, part 1, the AI book opportunity, and specifically why cozy fantasy.
So why zero in on cozy fantasy? Well, the source highlights a massive market gap here. If you're not familiar, cozy fantasy is basically fantasy with the stakes turned way down and the warmth turned way up. Think sipping tea in a village instead of slaying epic dragons. According to the data, this genre just exploded during the 2020 lockdowns because readers were desperately reaching for the literary equivalent of a warm blanket. And that demand absolutely has not slowed down. Sci-fi and fantasy sales recently jumped over an incredible 41%. But the real secret sauce here is where these readers actually live: Kindle Unlimited. It's a buffet-style subscription. Readers don't buy individual books, they binge entire series. And the best part? Amazon pays the author for every single page turned.
Now here's where the math gets really interesting. The source breaks it down like this. A single read-through of a cozy fantasy trilogy on Kindle Unlimited pays the author roughly $3.60. Now, okay, $3.60 might not sound like retirement money on its own, but it perfectly illustrates why this whole framework is built for generating series, not just one-off books. Book 1 leads directly to Book 2, and every single book multiplies the value of the reader. It creates this amazing royalty loop. But of course, generating a series quickly means absolutely nothing if the books themselves are terrible.
Which brings us to part 2, escaping the AI slop and avoiding those common beginner mistakes.
Now, this comparison right here brilliantly highlights the biggest trap beginners fall into. On the left side, we've got what the source calls bad AI. This is your default ChatGPT output from a basic prompt. And honestly, just look at it. 14 paragraph breaks in 70 words, single-word lines, and this super vague, flowery purple prose. The AI is basically panicking and spitting out poetry that reads like a dramatic social media post. If you publish this, you are going to get hit with immediate one-star reviews that will literally tank your pen name forever. But then, look at the right side. This is the output using the framework with the Claude AI model. The prose is grounded, it's highly specific, and it's incredibly restrained. It talks about a gardener arguing with her rosemary bush for 11 years. It feels human.
So how do we actually get from that messy left side to the polished right side? Well, the answer is the cozy fantasy framework. This thing is basically the brain of the whole operation. It's a massive 780-line text file of instructions that you feed directly into Claude. It contains strict genre rules, banned word lists to prevent repetitive AI phrasing, and rigorous prose discipline. It strictly forces the AI to abandon its default robotic style and write like a disciplined professional author.
So, armed with that framework, the source breaks the actual creation down into a super straightforward 3-step cycle. You plan the architecture, write it out chapter by chapter, and then publish to Amazon to build that royalty machine. Let's break down exactly how this tutorial works.
Step 1 in our tutorial, plan. Architecting the novel.
This is where you're laying down the foundation before a single word of the actual story is written. And it all kicks off with 14 multiple-choice setup questions. The crazy part? You don't even need an original idea to start. You can literally just tell the AI, hey, surprise me. But if you do have an idea, you feed it in, and the AI guides you through 14 steps to build the world, the community, and the characters. It gives you 3 distinct options for every single creative decision, complete with its reasoning. You just pick the path you like best.
By the time you finish answering those 14 questions, which the source says takes about an hour, you walk away with 5 professional-grade planning documents. We're talking a world Bible, a story Bible, character profiles, a full chapter outline, and a story state document.
The creator points out that this is the kind of architecture that even a lot of working authors don't bother to produce. And it's the exact antidote to why most beginner writers just stall out and give up by chapter 7. You literally cannot get lost because your entire book is already perfectly mapped out, which brings us seamlessly to the drafting phase.
Moving right along to step 2, write. Drafting with Claude.
All right, so this is where the rubber meets the road and the drafting actually happens. There's a quote from the source material here that I absolutely love. Claude is not writing a book for you. You are writing a book with Claude. This is a massive mindset shift. You aren't just clicking a button, crossing your fingers, and walking away. You are the director bringing the creative taste. Claude is the workhorse bringing the craft, the stamina, and the consistency. You generate the book chapter by chapter, reading the output, tweaking the story state, and holding the reins the entire time.
And to really prove the quality of this co-author drafting process, the creator ran a pretty fascinating experiment. They took the finished manuscript and fed it into a completely different AI model, Google's Gemini, for a blind review. And the result? Gemini concluded that the book was highly unlikely to be AI-generated. It specifically noted that the prose was stark, minimalist, and deeply restrained. It actually went as far as saying the craft ranked far above the average self-published book in the genre. This completely validates that the 780-line framework is successfully masking those usual AI tells. So once the manuscript is finished, which the source estimates takes about a week of evening sessions, we arrive at our final phase.
And that brings us to step 3, publish. Creating the royalty machine. Here is where you take that text and turn it into an actual business. And honestly, what makes this explainer so compelling, especially for beginners, is the total lack of a financial barrier here. Just look at this breakdown of costs. Generating the manuscript using the free tier of Claude, $0. Whipping up covers with free AI tools, $0. Publishing to Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing and using the promotional methods outlined by the source, again, $0. You're essentially building a digital product with zero overhead, assuming you're willing to put in the work in sessions rather than rushing through on a paid tier.
And here, right here, is the ultimate proof of concept. The creator actually published a 236,000-word trilogy under a pen name using this exact method. What you're seeing is a real 5-star Amazon review from a human reader. She called the story engrossing and heartwarming. Sure, she mentioned a few mild continuity issues, but the absolute most important takeaway, she read it for free on Kindle Unlimited, and she loved it so much that she actually bought a copy so she could reread it. Not a single mention of it feeling like AI. She reviewed it as a genuine human novel. So let's summarize exactly what this package actually entails.
Wrapping things up with our final section, the full system, what the source actually offers.
According to the source material, the front-end offer for all this is priced at $27. And for that, you aren't just getting handed a couple of quick prompt files. You get that massive 780-line framework file, the 14-step setup prompt file, and, this is absolutely crucial, a complete 23-module business training course. This course walks you through everything from formatting your book for Kindle to designing those covers to running free promotions so you can actually get eyeballs on your work. It bridges that massive gap between just having a manuscript on your hard drive and actually having a live earning asset on Amazon.
Which leaves us with one final pretty provocative thought to chew on. If a system exists that handles all the heavy lifting of structure, pacing, and prose discipline, if that terrifying barrier of the blank page has truly been removed for good, what story would you tell? The tools are out there, the market is clearly waiting, and honestly, the door to publishing has never been wider open. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.